Hello, I'm Dr. James Bogash, Master of Health and Longevity and creator of Modern Health Myths. And today we're going to talk about a very disturbing trend that is beginning. It happens every year, but this year seems to be a little bit worse than most. And that has to do with the upcoming flu season and the massive push for vaccination. Now, before I talk about the potential problems with that, I do want to address a commercial that I saw this weekend, and it was very bothersome, more than any other one had been, because it passed the line from marketing to manipulation. And it had to do with a large drugstore chain talking about being a flu fighter and getting the vaccination for your tribe or for your family. Now, this is the first time we've ever heard this type of language used with marketing for a flu vaccine, but I think they figured it worked so well with masks and COVID that they would try to, for no other better term, manipulate you or guilt you into getting the flu vaccination for your family to protect them. And that just really hit me deep and hard, and it's bothersome because that is just flat out manipulation, and it's not anything we've seen before. They are just riding the coattails on what kind of manipulation used for compliance with masks and COVID. So that being said, there are a couple things that really need to be addressed before everybody hops on the bandwagon for influenza season. First and foremost is we've certainly done better with hygiene and masks and cleaning surfaces, and that is going to have an impact on seasonal influenza. So how bad is this season going to be, given that as a society we are definitely more hygiene conscious, for good or for ill, but that would certainly suggest that we would do better with than a typical influenza season because of the changes that we've made. But the biggest concern that I've brought up before is something called antibody-dependent enhancement. In other words, when we give if we get a vaccination for some viral disease, there is always the potential for our immune system to be busy doing something else over here and not paying attention to what it should be. It's things like COVID. So whether the data would play it or not, I have not seen anybody solidly address the Department of Defense study done a couple years ago where they found that influenza vaccine increased the risk of getting other forms of coronavirus. So not our SARS-CoV-2, but it did make those people more susceptible to coronaviruses. That research needs to be seriously addressed, because this is not the first time we've seen something like that. And just to throw a little wrench in the works and something to consider, the quadrivalent flu vaccine, so against two strains of B, I believe it's H1N1 and H1N3, and two of the circulating strains of influenza A put together in one vaccine, so that's called a quadrivalent, quad meaning four. And this particular vaccine was approved in Europe and used in Italy in the 2019-2020 influenza season. Certainly raises some questions. We know that Italy had a relatively mild flu season, so we could suggest that this vaccine might have had a better impact on influenza, but it also set the stage for a potentially worse COVID outbreak, again, from people that either got the flu vaccine or actually survived the influenza season in Italy. That's a whole other topic of conversation, and one that I've addressed in prior videos. But we cannot dismiss this idea that influenza vaccine may lead us to be more vulnerable to other viral infections like coronavirus. The data is certainly there. I have not seen it addressed or dismissed or reasoned away in any way, shape, or form. It's almost like that data is there, but we're ignoring it. Despite that, we are continuing to push for a very strong push for influenza vaccination this season. And to me, that gets a little bit scary given the data that we have. So as always, I'll post a link to just the idea that the quadrivalent vaccine uptake or that was approved in Europe. I'll post that in the comments section. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs this information, and subscribe to the channel.